You know I try to be a good man, I always give it my best. But truth be told, someday I wanna go to the wild, wild west.
And now, live from our smokehouse studio, it's time for Real Estate Jerky. All your real estate questions answered by a provocatively lean expert host, Ed Parcaut, MBA, veteran, and president of Lending for Living. And today's special expert guest, real estate advice you won't find anywhere else. Plenty to chew on, starting now.
Good afternoon. It's great to be here with my special guest, Anita Hellam, and she is the Executive Director of Habitat for Humanity Stanislaus. Our number one goal on Real Estate Jerky is to help you, our listeners, learn about homeownership and how you can take advantage of the simplest way to build personal wealth in America, which is through homeownership. Today, we're looking at a not-so-traditional path to homeownership, Habitat for Humanity. I'm very interested in learning how Habitat for Humanity impacts our communities in Stanislaus County and how the path to homeownership works. How you doing, Anita?
Hi, good. Having a little bit of a cold.
You know, it's that time of year, right?
Absolutely.
And they sure stretched it with all this weather we've been having, huh?
It's been fun. I've enjoyed the rain.
Really?
Yeah.
I have a cabin up in Cold Springs, and I'm up there each week because I work half the time up there, and I'm tired of the weather. Mm. You know, there's so much snow this year up there that I know we cry about it, but it just got tired of moving it so much. You know, this last weekend we were going to go up there, and it's like, why? I don't want to deal with snow. So anyway, so in the past, how I got involved with Habitat for Humanity is I'm in Modesto Sunridge Rotary, and a few years ago they did work on a house, and basically we had to frame it a few years ago, and honestly, you know, I didn't know how it was donated and how the whole family thing worked, and so I really want to know how that works and how people get involved. But let's start with, how did Habitat begin and why?
Okay, so we're an affiliate. We're affiliated with Habitat for Humanity International, and they're headquartered right now in Atlanta, Georgia. They started out in Americus years ago with the original board and founder of the organization. And it was a group of folks that basically just wanted to demonstrate God's love in their life through action. And the idea that working together, bringing together resources, bringing together people in the community to help individuals that are really dreaming about having their own home. So, that's basically how it started. It was just basically one house at a time on a small scale, and now we are in all the continents in the world.
Wow. So that's how did you get involved?
Well,
Let's start there.
I started working here in Stanislaus County in 2002, and I saw it as an opportunity to address a really important need. I had been working in transitional housing, building housing for folks that were potentially homeless with mental health issues, in recovery from alcohol or drug dependency. And folks were allowed to stay in those residences for 2 years, but there wasn't an available housing stock for folks to transition into. So it felt like folks got stable and then they were unstabilized when they were moved back out on the streets again. So it was an opportunity to create a permanent supply of affordable housing. So the folks that we serve are actually people that are getting the benefit for a lifetime.
Wow. So I'm going to let's go through some requirements. But first, what was the first house done?
So
locally.
Locally, there were some scattered sites, but the first kind of cluster subdivision was over on Woodland, just over on the other side of Carpenter. Okay. It was in partnership with folks over at the Church of the Brethren, and there's a cul-de-sac right by the church that has 6 Habitat homes.
Okay.
That was our first effort.
What year was that?
That would have been through 2001.
Okay. And then didn't you guys do something over by the SOS Club?
Yeah, we're still working on that project. That's River Vista. It's a 21-unit subdivision. We're only about at the halfway point right now, and excited that we are picking up our pace, and we're hoping to be able to get that project completed pretty shortly. We also have another subdivision that we completed, not too far from there, but over at Hauser and Carpenter. It was 20 units, and it was called Hope Village.
Okay. So originally you used to do just maybe one house in the area, and then now you do more subdivision? Is that kind of how it works?
We do a little bit of both.
Okay.
We do a little bit of both. What I was hoping through strategic planning with my board, we were hoping to get benefits by building more than one, hoping to get better pricing. And the reality is that because of the way we're structured and the way that we operate, we really end up even building a subdivision onesie twosie. So doing scattered sites or doing a subdivision, it's really a wash.
Gotcha. What are the requirements for Habitat families?
So we look at three basic areas, but first and foremost is eligibility based on income. So we're looking to address folks that are below 80% of the area median income, because their mortgage is not going to exceed 1/3 of their gross income. We're generally looking at folks between 55 to 80% of the area median income. Once we verified and certified that that is their income, then we're looking for their willingness to partner with us. They're required to perform at least 500 hours sweat equity. We're looking for their need, because if they already have a great place to live, we want to put the person that has the greatest need in housing. So we do measure that, and that's subjective. For sure. And then, they have to have, proof of income, proof of good credit. They need to have a minimum of a 600 credit score, and they need to have at least 2 years of work history.
Okay. And so how are they selected? So you have that's your requirements.
Right.
How would somebody be selected?
So we do a pretty good job of marketing when we're opening up applications. We also have a lot of partners that make referrals to us. We do orientations to explain all the minutia. Those orientations are a requirement to be able to actually submit an application. Those applications are vetted just to make sure that people meet the eligibility requirements. And then a group of volunteers in the community made up of bankers, realtors, folks from the community that basically determine which fall at the top and which fall at the bottom. And then we basically go from there.
Wow. Now, I want to go back to, you were talking about they have to put in 500 hours, right? And that's before they can qualify for the house, right?
No.
Or is that during the process?
So once they've been qualified, their hours actually start to accumulate. And so the people who sign on the dotted line actually have to perform 60% of the labor, and their friends and family can perform the rest. And sometimes, like when your Rotary group came out, if folks designate hours to help the partner family, that'll get them over the edge.
Oh, really? So other people can come out.
Absolutely.
They just have to do 60%. And I know you're under the weather, so if anytime you need to just take a break to say so, I can keep talking. I'm good at that. So 500 hours, and that's sweat equity. That doesn't have to do with just that house. That's any house that you could be working on, right?
Right.
I'm just trying to understand.
So their sweat equity counts for any house. And in a way, it's really a very cool thing. The families get to know each other really well, and they've actually worked really hard on each other's homes. So they start to build a friendship, a bond.
In a really nice community.
In a nice community.
Yeah. And that's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're not just building homes, we're building community.
Correct. And it's like a wonderful life. All right, so we have a few seconds before we go to break. So I think we'll go to break early, and then when we come back, we'll pick up the other stuff. Okay, is that all right with you?
Absolutely.
All right. So remember that if you want to get a hold of us here at Real Estate Jerky, you can just dial #250, say the keyword Real Estate Jerky, and you'll get in here. You can leave us your questions or comments, and I want to thank to all you that have called in and talked to, and the people who have talked to after the fact. And we'll talk to you when we get back. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you to turn your phone.
I've been saving my voice, and I didn't realize how hard it was going to be to push. Sorry.
No, that's fine. Take shorter. If you need to, take shorter. Just say a couple things, take a drink, whatever.
Is it not coming out at all?
No, you're fine.
You're good.
No, you're good. You're good.
She's got to take pictures.
I just came in here to take pictures.
It has nothing to do with anything else.
No.
We would have stopped if there
Yeah,
was.
no. Javier's great like that.
All right, just got to turn my phone from going to sleep. Give me a second. That's what I was doing. I wasn't texting. I was trying to get.
Oh, I wasn't even paying attention.
So I got to keep track of the time, right? And then it goes to sleep, and I'm like, oh, dang. All right. So we come back. Let's pick. Where do you want to pick it up? So, what's a good way to tell your story? I mean, all right. So here's my questions she gave me. One of them: what are the requirements? How are habitat families selected? We did that. Then the next question she has one is how many homes in his, since you started in Stanislaus County, how many have you done in inception? What percentage of homes are rehab versus new construction? And how does Habitat find homes? So how do you want to start this up? Because I want you to be able to tell your story.
Yeah, I think too, sometimes the interesting story is some of the challenges and the lessons learned.
We still got 3 segments. So,
Oh.
so we got 10. How much this time? 12. All right, so we got 12 minutes this time, so I'll have 2 more minutes.
Okay.
So we have plenty, and then the next one's going to be 12, and then I think the last one is 9. So we got plenty of time. So I'm just, we were talking when we left about the 500 hours, right? Kind of went over that, and then about how families are together in the community. So when we come back, we'll bring it up with, we'll ask how many have you done in Stanislaus County since your inception? You can tell me that, and then we'll go into percentage of homes of rehab versus constructions. How does you find the homes? And then what we'll do is, then we'll see where that ends up, and then we'll go into you can tell me what challenges you've had that you've seen. Then we can go into later about how if somebody wants to sell the house, can they sell it? Will they give it back? That kind of stuff. Does that work for you?
Sure.
Okay. This is free flowing, so whatever you want to do, you can take it any way you want. I'm here to make sure that people know what you guys do.
Absolutely.
All right. So, and then one of the things I want to make sure is how do people get involved that don't need a house but would get involved with the program?
Right.
All right, ready?
Real Estate Jerky is back on Power Talk 1360. Chew on that.
We're back, and for those of you just turning in, I'm Ed Parcaut, mortgage advisor with Lending for Living, and your host. And I'm here with my guest, Anita Hellam, executive director with Habitat for Humanity Stanislaus. Anita, what is the most common myth people believe about Habitat?
That we give the houses away.
Oh, that's a big. Is that it? That's the biggest.
I think that's the biggest myth, that we give the houses away, and it's or that there'll be a great reveal and folks win a house. It's not like that.
They don't have the thing in front of it, and they pull apart so you can see the house after you fix it up.
No, we don't.
So all right, so let's go where you just said that people get the house for free, right? So basically, how does that work?
So people don't get the house for free.
Okay.
So people are agreeing to pay what they can afford to pay. So when people are approved for the program, we set up a mortgage structure that is affordable for their household income, and it won't be amortized for more than 30 years.
Right.
So whatever that number is at the top is the top number that house can sell for. So sometimes there's a shortfall between what the house costs to build, what the market bears, and what the buyer can afford to buy.
Wow. So who does the mortgage? Is that through Habitat?
We do. So it's 0% financing.
Wow.
And that's part of what makes it affordable, clearly.
Right. Clearly, because I do lending, so I know what interest rates can do to payments.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow. All right. Let's go with a few. So, I don't want to jump into it, but say that they have the house, and how long can they ever sell the house, or is it given back to you guys?
So each project is unique, and we have to bundle it and package it with layers of subsidies and support usually from pass-through federal money, the local city, or something like that. And those restrictions are imposed on the project based on the partner. At least we're looking at 20 years affordability covenant, maybe 25, maybe 30, just depends on the project. The families have the ability to sell the home and get a portion of the equity that's been built up, but it's a hybrid of a regular traditional loan, because we then have to turn around and resell the package to another eligible buyer. And so in terms of seeing appreciation in the value, it's not there like it would be in a market transaction.
Right, but at least they own a home.
They
do. Live
do.
in a home in a community they want to live in, and they can afford to live there.
Absolutely. Plus, they are building equity. And then once that affordability covenant has been met, the day after, they can sell the home and maintain 100% of the equity in the home.
Wow. Let's go back to how many homes have you guys done in Stanislaus County since inception?
We're reaching our century mark right now.
Wow.
We're right at about 100. And those are not all new construction. Some were rehabbed.
So that was one of my questions I had that you just went to, but how many, is there a percentage of either, or do you normally do a new construction? Is that 20% of your business, or?
It depends on the market. We have a pretty active program. It's called Critical Home Repair. So we actually go into homes that are not even owned by us, that are owned by low-income households, with the idea of fixing them up and preserving them so that the units of affordable housing that exist in the community can be preserved and maintained for a little bit of time. We're able to do probably 3 times more of those in a year than we are in terms of new home construction. The homes that we actually acquire and then sell are about 50-50 in terms of we acquire homes, renovate them, and then sell them.
So let's go back to the other one you were first talking about, rehab, helping people with their low income. How do you get paid for that? Is that through a grant? Is that the homeowner, what they can afford?
So we've tried it a few different ways. And right now, the only program that we have running is on contract base with the city. Right now, in the city of Merced, for example, we are we're doing critical home repairs, probably completing about 5 a year, and they're significant. We're putting about $50,000 into these homes to preserve them. We just finished up a house this week that had new roof, central heating and air installed for the first time. All the windows were replaced, new flooring throughout the house. Pretty significant when you add it up. There was also abatement of lead. The exterior of the house had lead on it, so we remediated all that through a contractor.
Wow, that's a lot. I mean, that lead thing, getting rid of that's a lot of work.
Right.
Yeah, and people don't realize that. I mean, that there's lead on certain homes at certain ages, and even a lot of people didn't know that paint that came from China a few years ago had lead in it, and it could be on some other houses.
Right. Before we get started on any house, we always test.
Right. Well, you need to.
Yeah.
Let's see. How does Habitat find the homes or properties? And then after that, I'm going to ask you how you find your people.
So sometimes realtors actually call up and say, hey, I just saw this place. I think it'd be great for your project. It does happen. We've got volunteers in the community who do donate some of their time. I've got to put a plug in for Johnson Velakis, who's been on my board for a while and just super supportive and helps us. And other folks. Sometimes we'll get a call about a piece of land, and or even possibly, a bank will say, hey, I've got a client that might be looking to sell something you might be interested in. It just really depends on how the market is. When people aren't buying a lot of property, we tend to get a lot more calls.
Right.
It gets pretty tight when there's competition because we can't keep up with the pace.
Because like right now, I mean, there's been the last few years a lot of people going in, finding homes and flipping them, and that probably takes away a lot of your inventory that you could work with.
Right, we're limited. We can only pay market value. We can't pay a penny over. So if somebody is willing to pay $20 more than market to be able to flip a home, we have to let them do it.
Wow, little restrictions, huh?
Right.
Yeah. All right. So we talked about how people, how does somebody get involved with wanting to get a house through Habitat? I know we talked about the qualifications and certain things, but
So
what's
they
the first
submit an
step?
application. There's an orientation that explains what we expect back. Because it isn't a normal transaction, we want to make sure they understand what we will require of them, and we want them to understand what they can expect from us. So once that orientation's been completed, applications are submitted. They've got 30 days to fill it out, attach all the attachments, proof of income, and then I have staff that actually assists people that are having a difficulty completing those applications.
Okay. So you were saying how a lot of times how you got it started is people were in transition, right? From being in a home for 2 years, and then they had to get to transition to the next place, and that's kind of how it got started. What happens when they get into a Habitat house now right? And you helped them out, and they can only afford so much. But then they really do financially well. Is there a change?
Well, that's great for them, and sometimes I think it's actually because they had a Habitat house that they were able to do better financially. I could probably tell you several stories of people who were able finally to go back to school instead of working multiple jobs, people who were able to get a better job that was able to improve their household income. And good for them. As long as they stay living in their house, their payment stays the same. It's a fixed rate, 0% interest mortgage, and we've already predetermined the principal amount. Some folks do choose to pay off early just because they want to pay it forward to the next people. Some folks decide to move into a bigger home, and when that happens, then they basically get at least all the principal that they paid back and a portion of any of the appreciation in the house, depending on how much time they were in the house. We do a calculation.
Well, I mean, that's good because, there are programs out there that makes people not want to do well, right? Because if they do well, then they lose what they have, and then you're in a situation, right? So that's great that you're able to do better once you get into one of these homes.
It's a relatively risk-free program because no matter what the market is doing, whether the market is turned down, their property value's gone down, they're going to still get their principal paid back. And the risk, from my perspective, is the volunteer hours, because if, for example, somebody gets 500 hours, but then they are no longer eligible when it comes time to actually sign those loan documents, that's where the rubber meets the road, and that's where people sometimes are no longer eligible. They might have gotten a promotion, or they might have earned more money, so they have to be eligible at the point of signing.
And that could be after it's...
They've got their hours in. It could be.
And what's that period of time from beginning to when they're going to sign loan documents?
It depends on where they're trying to purchase. Some people are, very adamant about living in a specific town, and we might only have one house a year in that town, and they might have to wait several years.
Wow.
So that's the risk.
That is a risk. I mean, it's a good thing they're doing better, right? I mean,
right.
But, yeah, that's... So basically you need more homes.
We do. We need more homes. We need more. We do. We definitely do. I think, though, that we also have to realize that every home we build requires a huge amount of capacity. There's reporting, there's record keeping, there's technical financing. When we were just doing one house a year and we would make a small error in our budget or our scope of work, we could roll over a rock, have a spaghetti dinner, and pay for it. But if you've got 10 houses under construction, you make that mistake on all 10 houses, you need to have a lot more than a spaghetti dinner to make up for that mistake.
Right. I mean, that's the same thing when people decide to go flip houses themselves. They've never done it before. It's challenging. You can't just go out and do it. You need to have experience.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people who do that for a living, and you can mess up on one transaction that affects the next 4 transactions that you have to pay yourself back. So.
Right. And we're never cutting corners. We are, we want to improve health. We want to improve living conditions. And we also look at the structure as a client too, because we want that unit, that housing, to sustain itself over time.
Right. All right, we got to step out for a break. I'm a veteran, and normally I talk about a veteran's business at this time, but I just want to remind everybody that this weekend is Memorial Day weekend, and what it's about is for all the service members that have fallen during war and time of service, we want to remember them. So please remember them on Monday. And remember, if you want to get in here and talk to us, remember, hit pound 250 from your mobile phone, say the keyword Real Estate Jerky. They'll get right into us, and you can also talk to us through Facebook or on Twitter. Talk to you when we get back. All right, so let's go through what we need to talk about next. So you deal with this all the time. So what is really important that we need to get out there for people? Okay, we talked about how to get involved, we talked about this, but we haven't talked about how to volunteer yet. You personally, not to get a house.
So I think that our community is really super worried right now about the homeless situation because it's critical. They see it. They don't, and I think that they are thinking, let's just throw all of our eggs in one basket. Let's not spread it out. And I just want to be clear that we're part of the solution, because as we are transitioning folks out of subsidized apartments, as we're transitioning folks out of other programs that help low-income households, we're freeing up those units so that we can hopefully get people off the streets too. So it's part of a continuum. We're not alone on this. And no one agency has all the answers. We're just one small part of a big there's a big problem, and we're just a small part of the solution.
So, but the problem with that is, I mean, how many houses do you have in Modesto right now? I'm not going to put it on the rate. I'm just,
in terms of
that are in the process to help people get out of that situation.
Right, we're talking about, we're like, if we have 20, right?
Right.
But in terms of number of people, I mean, I would say probably 35% of our folks have either been staying in a car, have been couch surfing, have been terrified that they were going to lose where they live. You know, they're doubled up, tripled up. There's a lot of need.
Okay. So we come back. You want to talk about that real briefly?
If you think that's interesting, I don't know.
Do you think it's interesting? It's not what I think. It's what the listeners think.
Okay.
Because people, the one biggest issue right now in Modesto is anywhere is homelessness. And a lot of people are just tired of it. They're thinking that most of these people want to be there.
Well, people always say people are choosing to be homeless. Well, so I want to hit that nail on the head. Our families are choosing to be homeowners with all the responsibilities that come with it, with the taxes, with the right to vote, with the right to support, elect an official to represent you, to have a voice. They want to be engaged. And I see it over and over again. I watch people become empowered. They're not only financially empowered, but they're emotionally empowered.
But so the devil's advocate on this, I would say, but that is what, 10% of the homeless population?
But it's better than zero.
No, I know.
Yeah.
But that's what, I mean, I'm just saying that's what people are thinking, right? When they see homeless people in the park and the ones who do what they do, that this is the problem. And it's not the ones that you're helping, and we're just going to go through what you just said on there. It's fine with me. Everything's good. It's important stuff for people to know that you're helping getting people off. All right, so then when we come back, we'll talk about that. But then, I mean, we still have another 22 minutes to talk about your company. So that's why I want to know, what do you want to get across in the next 10 minutes, 12 minutes?
Sure.
What do you want to talk about? Because I can keep asking you questions, because we're, like, how does Habitat family know, with no experience in their history of home ownership, learn what they need to know?
Sure.
You have a class, I assume, right?
Sure. No, but they're also, we do. We're a HUD certified housing counseling agency. So we do offer classes, for sure. Some of the things that we've done, some of the lessons learned in terms of self-sufficiency. Arnold Schwarzenegger eliminated the RDA program, and it was a source for us, for our programs. 90% of our homes were built with RDA money. So we took a hit when that program was eliminated, and then we saw the housing market decline. And of course, with the housing market, also the economy, and so we saw donations decline. We just realized that we need to do what we can to be self-sustaining, and so putting energy into having our restore.
Okay, let's talk about that when we come back.
Yeah.
The only thing that changes, don't say Arnold Schwarzenegger. We don't say certain people's names because people get turned off, and we're going to piss off half the people who listen.
No, I don't want to do
so
that.
I'm just saying. So just say, a few years ago, the current administration, we lost our whatever. We lost our R&D. Whatever happened, just don't say who it is, because I just find it's easier. We had one time where my co-host that I used to have, she was going to say something, and Marlene comes running in. Don't say that. Because someone's going to complain.
I've got my phone on silent, but I don't.
Yeah, but just go to the put it on standby mode or whatever if you got an Apple.
I'm going to have to do that.
That's what I do. It's just easier. Actually, one thing I didn't do though, I didn't put my watch on it. I just airplane mode. All right, we're ready. 12 minutes. Again, 12 minutes. Goes by very fast, right? Yeah. Okay.
Real Estate Jerky is back on Power Talk 1360. Chew on that.
We're back, and I'm Ed Parcaut, your co-host. I guess I would be your host, not your co-host. Let's start that again. Thanks. Sorry, I don't know what I was reading.
Real Estate Jerky is back on Power Talk 1360. Chew on that.
We're back. I'm Ed Parcaut, your host, and I'm here with Anita Hellam, Executive Director of Habitat for Humanity, Stanislaus. Let's get to know a little bit more about you. There's probably a lot of success stories you have to tell about, but why don't you pick one of your favorite and share, and then anything else you want to talk about?
Oh, great. Thanks. I think the success is in watching our families become empowered. I have met people and known people who have been able to. I know one lady, for example, she grew up, she raised her kids working in the fields and in the canneries, and she was working hard. During the holidays, she would take another job at a fast food restaurant and just was always working, and she felt like, as a single mom, that she wasn't spending enough time with the kids. And then as they started growing up, she realized, I've got my Habitat house. I don't have to worry about rents going up anymore. I know exactly what my mortgage is. So she started going to school. She got her high school degree, and then she went on, and she continued studying. And her kids, actually, two of her children joined the military, and one of her children went on and got a master's degree. And they told me that they watched their mom and her power, her determination. And they said it started when they watched her as a single mom determined to build her own house and how hard it was. And they just realized that if she was that strong, they could be that strong too.
Wow, that's amazing. I don't know if I ever asked you, how long you've been involved with Habitat?
Oh, it's been a while. I actually started in January of 2002. And it's been an interesting journey, a lot of important lessons, a lot of humbling experiences, a lot of joys. It's just a mixed bag. I think that after this many years, I would feel like I'd been successful if we had fewer people homeless and more people housed, and the problem just continues to seem like it's growing, and trying to understand our relevance and where we fit in the whole scheme of things is, I think, important for not just me, but for me to communicate with people that support us and with my staff that work so hard. We've had some interesting challenges. Historically, about 90% of our homes were built with the redevelopment agency funding. We got funding at the county level and at the city levels from RDA, and it was money that a set aside was for building affordable housing and the idea of jobs and work balance and creating not only good paying jobs, but having houses available to house the people that work in those jobs. And so that was a huge blow. And then we saw a huge downturn in the market, and then we saw donations go down, and we've just really had to learn to be self-sufficient, more self-sufficient. We still do heavily rely on government funding to support our projects, but we wouldn't be alive if we didn't have our Restore. And I'm really grateful to the community who donates supplies and materials to our Restore. It's on Kearney Avenue across from the post office. And we're able to do over 100 transactions every day. People come in and they purchase from us and they donate to us. And that money helps us cover all of our operating, and it helps us build some houses on top of that.
So for people who don't know, the Restore is?
It's basically a thrift store model, but it's the types of things that you would use for construction or for home renovation or home maintenance. So we've got everything from lighting and windows and flooring, tools, hardware, paint. So it's just
new and used, or all new? Or?
It's I would say it's probably mostly used, probably 3/4 used, and some new. So some of the things that we get in are new, and it's just a great resource. And for people who are flipping houses, for people that have a rental unit that they want to fix up, it's a perfect choice.
Or they might want to find a door that they have in their house that's missing that can match the rest of the doors, right? Take your time. Anyway,
Sorry.
That's okay. We understand you came in when you're not feeling that greatest. Thank you.
Absolutely. I had a lady come in the other day, and I think she had her bathroom done in the 80s. And she had a tile, and she was looking for a match. And we sure enough had 3 of those tiles in the back room. She didn't have to replace her whole floor, just that one tile.
That was great.
It was a good one.
Yeah, but because you guys get like older, you get doors and certain things from houses that when they're taking stuff out, people come and donate it to you, right?
We do. We get all kinds of classics. It's great.
Classics. I like
Yeah,
that.
classics.
I like that. Yeah, because I have an older house that we own, and it's like, there's certain things you want, and you can't get it, or you have to have it remade, and that's a little bit expensive.
Right.
Yeah. How do people get involved? I mean, I'm talking wanting the house, but they want to help out and get involved with Habitat.
So we definitely need help all the time. I've got several committees that are active. We've got we've got a board that it provides oversight and advice and strategic planning and guidance. And we are actually looking to expand our board right now. So if you're interested, I would be happy to talk to you. We're always looking for people who have knowledge in construction or people that just want to gain knowledge in construction to come out and help us build. Then, of course, there's always the admin piece. We've got so much reporting and filing. There's work in the office, answering phones, helping redirect people.
Is that volunteer work or is that
both?
paid? Okay.
Mostly volunteer. When you come out to our stores and you come out to our offices, sometimes people say, "Wow, you've got a huge staff." We only are 13 that are paid, and all the rest of the folks are there either through some kind of work program or because they're volunteering.
Wow. So if somebody wants to get involved, how do they get a hold of you?
So they would just call our office or stop by. We're at 575-4585. If you hit extension 100, somebody can give you the information. You can get on our website, which is habitatstanislaus.org, or you can email us. We've got a Facebook.
What's your email?
So mine is
Or whoever you want them to contact.
Yeah. It's A Hellam, HELLAM, and I'm at stanislaushabitat.org.
Okay, and then your phone number one more time.
It's 209-575-4585, extension 100.
All right. So that's how to get more involved, and you're always looking for people, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, when you were talking before we were on break, we were talking about what's going on in the community with homeless and how you guys help out by getting people transitioned through your homes. So you want to touch on that a little bit?
Sure. I know that there's a huge focus right now on trying to address our homeless population. It's really reached crisis. A lot of folks, want to know where we are in terms of our contribution to housing folks. And one thing, even though we're not building a huge number of houses, we certainly are allowing the units that were occupied by folks that maybe had a rent that was subsidized, maybe a Section 8 apartment or home, maybe some other type of program or agency that provided affordable housing. When their Habitat home is completed, that unit is made available, and then folks are able to transition into the unit that they occupied. So we're just a small part of a solution to a really big problem.
Right, which is growing, and we can only do what we can. Now, you were talking about RDA money before. Is there any affordable housing stuff going on now that they're looking at doing, or grants or anything?
So the federal government still has. So the RDA was a state program,
Okay.
And the voters passed a few bonds to allow some new housing funds to provide more of a permanent source of funding. And right now, that money is still being, they're just figuring out all the rules and how the money is going to be divided. So that money will be available on a competitive basis in the next year or two, which I'm really looking forward to. We also still have federal pass-through funding. Both home funds, the community block grant funds are still available. And then at the state level, there's HCD, the Housing and Community Development Funding available.
Now, do you have to put in for a grant? Do you have to apply and all that stuff, or is it?
So it's in partnership. So those funds are available to jurisdictions like cities and counties, and then they would mostly, for the most part, they get the money based on their need. Mm-hmm. It's an allocation, and then they create requests for proposals, and then we would submit an application and apply.
Okay. Now, so where do you see this going for the future? We're going to need, of course, there's going to be a big need. I guess that was a huge question, but.
Oh, well, there's still continue. It's interesting. I cannot I can only tell you how many people come every single day, walk in our doors, tell us how long they've dreamed of owning a home. And, you know, I definitely see us having serving a great need in the community for a long time, but we definitely need the community support because we are a community-based organization, and we are only as strong as the people in the community that support us. So we definitely need folks not to just assume that we've got it all under control. We really do need community support and help.
Do you put on any events to help pay for certain things, or?
We do have an annual dinner, and we actually have an event that is coming up pretty soon, so maybe I'll...
Go ahead, plug it.
Well, I don't have enough information to
Okay,
plug
all
it,
right.
but I will give it to you to plug it on a later date. But definitely do look for that, and we'll be doing our best to get the word out in the community. There'll be lots of opportunities for sponsorships.
So your normal thing, you have one thing every year?
Well, we have several. There's the ecumenical choir concert. There are like
Okay.
5 or 6 different events.
Okay.
And, you know, building a house is super expensive.
Yes, it
and
is.
so we need to raise a lot of money.
Right. I mean, because just as you're helping your people that you want to help, we help people get into homes because we find it's the best way to build personal wealth is through home ownership. So
Absolutely.
we understand that, and that's why I wanted to have you on so people can understand. All right, we're going to go out to a break. Thank you for listening to Real Estate Jerky. We'll be right back after this break. Remember, you can listen to us, any of our shows on our podcast at iHeart.com, iTunes, or Google. And remember, you can Google us online at Real Estate Jerky, and you can find us. Talk to you when we get back. All right, so it's our last 9 or 10 minutes.
It goes by so fast.
I just want to make sure we get through everything you want to say. All right. We don't need that out loud. All right, so we got 10 minutes. In your last 10 minutes, it's all about you. What do you want to talk about that you haven't touched on? I know, and if I put you on the spot, I'm not trying to. I'm just trying to make sure we get everything that you want to get across here. And I know it was last minute.
Right. No. I think the questions help guide me. And if those are questions that you think are important, that's fine.
The one thing we didn't talk about is how does a Habitat family with no experience in their history of homeownership learn what they need to know?
Okay.
So I'll just come back from the break and say, okay, in our last final, whatever, what did we not cover that you want to go over?
And I think it's good for people to, have that conversation about the different, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, I'm just want to make sure.
But I think there'll be
And,
even relevance for
keep
people
my
thinking about
information for
buying a
your
house.
board if you need somebody else on your board.
Oh, okay, I will. Do you have a card?
Yeah, sure I do. I own a mortgage company. Of course, I have a card.
Do you get along with Chris Herfeld?
I know him. We have no issue. Oh, is he on your board?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was one of the people that hired me.
He what?
He was one of the people that hired me.
Yeah, he used to have the radio show years ago.
Thanks.
I see his office from my office. I'm on the corner of Tully and Stanford. I'm in
okay.
the U.S. Bank building
Oh, okay.
with
okay.
Clinton and Burning companies in there with us.
Okay, great.
Yeah, we share space. That way, because they're there, during tax time, crazy for 4 months, and then they're skeleton crew for 3 months, and they start back up in October again.
Yeah.
And for us, we're year round, so they were like, "Can you want to share space?" So that way, we always have somebody here. Yeah, no problem.
That's great.
Yeah. Because the way we're set up, we do a lot of contract processing and stuff where we don't have to have the person on site anymore.
Great.
So it's to have 5,000 square feet is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But if you don't, then people think you're really small.
So one of our biggest challenges was that, it was a bunch of church people
Right.
that were old and retired that was sweet that started it. And then they just were making a lot of mistakes. And so they, Chris and his sister Karna, George Petrolakis, they got on and they're like, no, we need to get more professional people working. And so, and Marlene was actually one of the people that was helping them try to scout, board members. And then all of the nice church people just kind of like, we don't understand what's going on. It's just too complicated. And the thing is, the reality is that you bring really intelligent and sophisticated people on, and if they don't, there's so much language to learn. There's so much to learn. People are on the board for about 4 years before they even feel competent to ask questions sometimes. Like people that are teachers that come on or social workers. It's just a complete
I was on the
transition.
Howard Training Center board for many years.
Oh, okay, great.
And then it just got
Did you know Claudia?
Yeah, I knew it.
Yeah.
And it just got to a point where, and I have a daughter with special needs, and so it's like, she's in a home in San Diego with her, not really a home, but she's with my first wife's sister who has a daughter with special needs, so she takes care of both of them. They were good friends.
Oh,
They
that's
like kids,
awesome.
so they're together. And
How
we
old
have,
are they?
22, 23. They're
It's
pretty
so
old.
hard. What
Yeah.
is she autistic?
No, she has Wolfhorn syndrome, which is a very rare syndrome. Basically, she's like a toddler.
Oh my
She
goodness.
doesn't speak, doesn't, so it's pretty
so sorry.
difficult.
That's gonna be hard.
It was, yeah.
That's another area. Like if you were to ask me, like if that's a huge part in our heart. We're actually looking at how to partner with churches and different in the community to create assisted living.
Okay,
For
let's go
this.
there.
Okay.
So I'll bring us back, and then I'll say, let's see what do I have here?
I'll follow you. I will.
Now I'm also reading what I got to call back at, our intro to. All right, there it is. All right. So funny, I have a lady who called each week and said, not all of us listen at the same time, so each break, could you say who's speaking, who's on there with you, instead of just their first name and that? I'm like, fine. Listen to the whole show. Damn it. All right, 10 minutes.
Leaving the bull behind. It's Real Estate Jerky.
We're back with our final segment of the show, and it always goes so fast. I'm Ed Parcaut, mortgage advisor at Lending for Living, here with today's guest, Anita Hellam, executive director with Habitat for Humanity Stanislaus. So basically, there's one question I didn't get to that has to do with how people who don't know, how does a Habitat family with no experience in their history of home ownership learn what they need to know?
Well, that's a really important question because for many of our families, they might be the first person in their entire family to have ever owned a home. And there are responsibilities that come along with the privilege of being a homeowner. We offer obviously classes. Education is critical. We're a certified HUD, housing counseling agency, so we do the first-time home buyer workshops. But on top of that, we also do workshops that help people, give them tips on how to hire a contractor and how to determine whether or not, how to look at bids and how to understand what they're bidding for, estimating the age of what they have and how long it's going to be before they have to replace a thing so they can start planning and budgeting for it.
Do you do those classes for everybody?
Yeah,
Okay.
It's open to the public. It's free of charge. So I was thinking your listeners might, some folks might even be willing. We don't charge the community for the classes. We're holding the workshops, and people, definitely have to sign in, and we have to do reporting to HUD to let them know who we're training. But
Where do they find out about the workship?
just call the number. I can give you the number.
Is it on the website or?
Yeah, it's available on the website too.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the website was?
It's www.habitatstanislaus.org.
Okay.
And our phone number is 209-575-4585. And extension 100 is the reception.
Because I think a lot of people want to know, a lot of people get into homes, first-time home buyers, or even they've been there for a long period of time. They want to have help. And it sounds like you guys could help them out.
We sure want to.
Yeah. All right. So we were at break. We were talking about a bunch of stuff. And where did you want it? Was there something you want to end it? Because we only have about another 8 minutes.
Yeah. So
it's been great talking with you, but it all comes to an end.
It all comes to an end. Well, I just think that as we look into the future, looking at ways to be relevant and to support our community, we were talking about how we have tried to partner with different agencies to provide the types of residences to address specific needs. And for example, there are people that have children that are aging that they worry about. How are my disabled children going to live in this world if they don't have a good place to live? And we've looked at how we can partner with folks to provide supportive housing for folks that have disabilities. We've looked at how we can actually provide transitional housing for families that are homeless so that they can have a permanent apartment to stay in. I'm actually meeting with a church June to see what they can do with some extra property. And, if you have a church that has some extra property, there might be a way that we would be able to work with you to be able to address a serious community need.
Right. Or if you just have property.
Or just have property. That's right.
Because you could always donate that to you guys, at the end, right?
Absolutely. Donate it. I can tell you that for the most part, we do build those donated properties. Absolutely.
Right. And that, helps out a lot of people that need that help. Now, you were talking about kind of assisted living kind of stuff we were just talking about. Now, are you guys doing anything for elderly people, helping them stay in their home longer, doing stuff like that? Or
We absolutely are. So we do modifications, and it's part of our critical home repair program. So, for example, there was a woman around Thanksgiving who had just recovered from a broken hip, and she only had a tub in her house. And so we were able to go in and demolish the tub and put in a wheelchair accessible shower with a bench. So she's able to continue living in her house where she's comfortable and where she has friends and knows the neighbors. So we do that all the time.
so you do a lot more than what I realize you guys do.
We do.
And that's important for people to know that out there. So I'm glad that you came on today.
We're
And I'm
so
not getting rid
busy.
of you, but
Yeah, we're so busy. We often don't do a good enough job reporting what we're doing.
Right.
And I know that I look at other colleagues around and that do a better job, and I do have to definitely improve.
All right, so basically you can do assisted living, helping, right, to keep people in their homes longer.
Right.
You're looking at helping people with disabilities, for your children for the future. Let's just name them. What else? So we can
So
get
the
out there.
critical home repairs,
Okay.
and then the home ownership and the housing counseling.
Right. Well, the housing counseling, do you guys do HECM counseling for reverse mortgages at
No,
all?
we don't.
Okay. So
We
just
don't.
first-time home
Just-
buyer?
It's first-time home buyer, and we've been certified to do foreclosure prevention as well.
Okay.
Not as critical as it was.
Into
few years ago.
during 2006 on, I was doing No Home or Left Behind,
Right.
helping people modify their homes back then and keeping people in their homes. And then it went from keeping people in their homes to let's save the people and see what's best for them and move. So that's important, the foreclosure counseling.
Absolutely.
Because, we went through a great recession and we're probably not going to see one for a very long time. And knock on wood, of course.
Knock on wood. I was just knocking on
There's
for
wood
Micah.
over here. But I mean, if you look at the numbers and where the market's going and where everything's going, we're not going to see because we haven't built any homes. I watched so much stuff recently about how the home supply, we're just so far behind on that it's going to take years and years before we catch up. And that means house prices are going to continue to rise. Homeowners, so it's going to get harder and harder to own a home. Where they are building homes, they're in other states, but not California. They're building in Arizona, Texas, and other places. One, it's cheaper, and two, they have land and it's easier to build homes in than it is in California,
Absolutely.
unfortunately. So I just don't see, everybody's like, well, something's going to have to happen and it's going to have a downturn. I just don't see that happening. I mean, I've seen certain areas maybe, but in our area, anything that's under any place under a FHA loan amount where you can get it with a FHA loan, that's like a seller's market. And anything above that's more of a buyer's market right now. And that's what I'm seeing, and that's my opinion. So it's got to be really hard for you guys to be able to find the homes you need because of what's going on.
Right. I think that we always like to have we always like to have an inventory, so that as we move forward, we're able to continue.
Okay. Because I remember during the downtime, were you guys getting some of the homes from some of the lenders that like, okay, you could bid on this house, we're gonna get it under this price over here at the REO?
We actually received multiple REOs from Bank of America, Wells Fargo.
Chase and all those?
They did. Yeah, they donated properties to us. We had to put a lot of work in to get them fixed up, but they've turned out to be, really great homes for folks.
Right. So what's next for you guys? We got about 2.5 minutes.
Well, just continue to just keep us in your thoughts. We definitely, like I said, we're a community-based organization, and having the community support is really critical. I just want to express all the gratitude to the people who've over the years been there and supported us, and I want to express gratitude to the people who in the future are going to come and show up and support us.
Well, I'm sure everybody's going to get involved, and I hope so. Now, are you guys doing much with any Rotaries anymore, or? Because that's how I learned about it.
Right. I have to do a better job reaching out. I haven't spoken at a Rotary Club in a long time. We just get into talk to a club and then have them come out. I remember when your club came out. That was great.
Yeah, because I think what you probably need to do that again, do the rounds, and because I know with even myself, we do so much and then we get so busy and then we forget what we did to get there, and it's a cycle we got to keep going through.
Absolutely.
Right? So what's the next project in Modesto? Is there one?
So we've got some scattered sites, and then we have a subdivision, and like I said, talking with a church to see if we can build a multiple unit permanent rental facility for folks who are transitioning from homelessness.
Right.
So that's our big, our something we're hoping to look at.
And for our listeners who want to get involved, why don't you say your number one last time?
It's 209-575-4585, extension 100.
All right. And so you have 1 minute left to do whatever you want with, talk about whatever you want.
Well, I just think it's great that you're doing a program talking about real estate and talking about the significance, because I do agree with what you said about it being an opportunity to build personal wealth, because our families literally go from having almost nothing in the bank to having something that they can actually leave to their children, and that's a huge change.
Right. And that's for everybody, because a lot of people don't put money in 401ks, 403bs, or any of those IRAs, but when they own a home, it's almost forced that they are able to go ahead and build personal wealth, right, through their equity and build. So as long as they don't tap into it and go buy the jet skis and all the motorcycles and the quads and all that other stuff they do, it's good for them. So it's important. So why don't we thank you very much for coming on today. I really appreciate it. And we hope to have you on again in the future.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much.